As Republicans gather in Milwaukee, recent polls show American politics is undergoing a racial realignment. Fewer black Americans, especially men, say they support the Democrat Party. Is this a fundamental shift or just temporary displeasure over quality of life and economic issues? Well, here to weigh in with her thoughts is Starr Parker. She's editor of the book, The State of Black Progress, Confronting Government and Judicial Obstacles. Okay, Starr, how would you describe the state of black progress in America? Is it good, bad, better, worse, progressing?
Progressing. I wish we didn't have to use the new term progressing, because we have progressives who've usurped the real word progressive. So let's just say, yes, we are progressing. When you think about the state of black progress, this is a tome that my organization, CURE, the Center for Urban Renewal and Education, puts out annually. But first, when we started a couple of years ago, it was called The State of Black America. But it is an opposite, if you will, the alternative to what the Urban League puts out every year about the state of black America, because they insist that America has not developed, that America has not progressed. America is still a systemic racist country and never will get better until we transform it. Unfortunately, they sent us a cease and desist letter to stop using the state of black America. So we changed the title to the state of black progress, which does fit better because, yes, African Americans in this country are doing very well. The majority of Americans live in the great middle class or better. The reason that we're seeing that shift that you just mentioned with a whole lot of younger black men moving from the Democrat Party is because these are the entrepreneurial parts of our society, of our community, if we can call it that. They're 2 generations away from the Civil Rights Act and the Civil Rights Movement. And while they appreciate all the accomplishments, they're living the American dream. 40% of African Americans live in the suburbs. We have equal, or actually larger numbers of young black men, 18 to 24, in college than we do in jail. So we have progressed as a society. And so what this particular tome does, The State of Black Progress, is looks at the places we can do better.
Starr, I was on the cusp of my teen years when I marched with my parents for fair housing rights in Flint, Michigan in the winter of 1968. And more recently, we've had Black Lives Matter, diversity, equity, and inclusion. But where do you think they're worse off, and where do we have to make some progress?
Well, I'm glad that you mentioned your parents and what happened when, in the 60s, when the Fair Housing Act was passed. We had 3 real changes in our society under the leadership of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. during those 60s. And he was able to get the country's attention so that we had a Civil Rights Act passed, we had a Voting Rights Act passed, and we had a Fair Housing Act passed. What happened next was America got off track, and Black America got even more off track and started looking at that movement, which was a movement of desegregation, and started forcing integration. We started seeing government intervention programs, affirmative action, DEI you just mentioned, many of these other efforts, if you will, to try to equalize society, and yet no person is equal to the other. We're uniquely made in the image of God, and we have certain attributes that we're to contribute, and we have uniqueness to discover our own individual purpose. When you have a one-size-fits-all government intervention program, things get lost and people get lost, and that's what has happened. So in the areas where we are not seeing success, what we have is big government. 5 years after King's death, Roe v. Wade became national law. We had a war on poverty right in the middle of the civil rights movement. And what happened? Families started collapsing. When you don't have healthy family, you don't have healthy community. When you don't have healthy community, you do not have healthy schools. And therefore, it affects everything else. And so when you talk about what is broken and disproportionately in the Black community, we're talking housing policy, education policy, healthcare policy, and economic policy, to where the government thinks that working with unions is how we're going to do all employment. And it hits Black people really hard, these messages of big government.
Well, a recent New York Times Siena College poll showed that 26% of Black likely voters say they intend to vote for Donald Trump this November, and that compares to about 5% during the same period in 2020. So why, in your estimation, has Donald Trump jumped in popularity with Black voters up 21% over 4 years ago?
The economy, inflation, illegal immigration. I mean, the concerns are the same when you're talking about middle-class America.
Well, a lot of people think Joe Biden will not be on the ticket for the Democrats this fall. Who do you think would be a good replacement? Kamala Harris? Who?
Well, I'm not going to talk about a good replacement because all these progressive left-wingers are exactly the same. They want big government and abortion, nothing more, nothing less. So we know that that will be the natural heir, of course, because we are all seeing the incapacitation of the president. And, folks are saying, well, it's not about if, it's just when. And I think that when we saw President Biden reach out to the Congressional Black Caucus, that was part of the conversation, that now it will be an acting president, Kamala Harris, with a vice president new in the next 4 months is the question that's still open, and or will she be their candidate, which many are saying yes, she will absolutely, for a variety of reasons, including that it is a Biden-Harris ticket, so all of their campaign money has to go to her. But I think that we should be clear that when you think about what Democrats represent, not only in their platform, but in all of their actions, it is against God and against God's anointed. When you think about the biblical worldview under attack, it is under attack because of Democrats.
Okay, the book is A State of Black Progress, Confronting Government and Judicial Obstacles. Starr Parker, thank you for sharing your insights. We appreciate you.
You're so welcome. I look forward to being on again with you.